السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. درسنا اليوم Unit 10 Communication Grammar Students Book page 102. Objectives: answer text related questions. Reading comprehension page 102. 2. For the second objective, to use conditional sentence. Type 3, orally and in writing. First, let's go page 102 and read the passage together, then answer the questions, activity 2 or exercise 2 from 1 to 6. First, what is the lesson about, or what is the text about? As I told you before, if you want to answer this question, look at the pictures. We have a picture here. If you don't understand, or if there are no pictures, you can read the first sentence of each paragraph. So look at the picture first. What does this mean to you? As I can see, a dancer. He is wearing traditional clothes. So this picture tells me about First Nations, about what people did. How did they spend their time? If I read the first sentence of each paragraph, Robert wants to know more about the Aboriginal peoples of Canada. So the first sentence talks about Aboriginal peoples of Canada, First Nation. When I say Aboriginal people, means first people who lived in the earliest time were in Canada. If I go to paragraph 2, read the first sentence. Robert sent a letter to Dr. Paul Davis at the Museum of Civilizations in Quebec. If I look or underline the word civilization here, it means what? Culture. So it talks about culture, what people used, what people wore, what people ate, how people spent their time. So it talks about civilization. Civilization means culture, حضارة. In Quebec, it's in Canada. Now, let's read the first paragraph. Robert wants to know more about the Aboriginal peoples of Canada. Look at the word peoples here. Means شعوب of Canada. He watched some videos of the opening ceremony of Winter Olympics in Vancouver in 2010. Ceremony means يعني مراسم افتتاح of the Winter Olympics in Vancouver. Vancouver, it's what? A seaport. It is a seaport city in Western Canada. يعني ميناء بحري in Western Canada. He, the word he or the pronoun he refers to so he here refers to Robert. He also went, the past of go. He also went on the internet and found. Found is the past symbol of find. F-I-N-D. He found وجد some amazing pictures of dancers and musicians. Musicians, people who play music at powwows. Powwows means social gathering by Native American to meet and dance. يعني تجمع اجتماعي بتجمعوا بتقابلوا برقصوا. They call it powwows. If I had not watched If I had not watched the opening ceremony, I would not have known about the Canadian First Nations. If I had not gone on the internet, I would not have found the pictures. As you see here, we have two clauses. If a clause and many clause. Two clauses, شرطين يعني. The first one, if I had not watched لم أشاهد the opening ceremony افتتاحية مراسم افتتاح I would not have known about the Canadian First Nations. لن أتعلم أو لن أعرف عنه. If I had not gone on the internet, I would not have found the pictures. So also we have two clauses. The first clause, if I had not gone on the internet. The first one, if I had not browsed the internet, I would not have found the pictures. So two clauses. يعني لو أنا ما تصفحت الإنترنت لن أجد صور. Paragraph 2. Robert sent a letter to Dr. Paul Davis at the Museums of Civilization in Quebec. Dr. Davis replied, means answered, to Robert and sent him information about the museum's archaeological excavation. Excavation means digging, as you said before, digging to make holes. Archaeological أثري in northeast Canada. North, up, east Canada. He also sent Robert the email addresses of two of the students who had worked on the dig. So the word dig means excavation. Dig, excavation. Robert got in touch with them. Communication. Carly and Annie sent Robert lots of interesting information about the First Nation in the present and the past. As you see, Carly and Annie sent Robert lots of interesting information. Information comes from the verb inform about First Nation, people who lived or the same, or you can see another word, line 1, Aboriginal, First Nation. Two similar words have the same meaning in the present and in the past. Present now, past before. Look here now, we have two clauses now. If Dr. Davis had not replied, the first clause, had not replied, had not answered, I would not have got in touch with Carly and Annie. It means if Dr. Davis had not sent me names of Carly and Annie, I would not have got in touch, or I would not have called them. I would have found from find, found, verb 3. I would have found out much less about the First Nation if Carl and Annie had not taken an interest in the website project. Now let's go to question exercise 2. Answer these questions. First one, what did Robert watch? If you want to answer a question, you should put into consideration two things. What does each question start with? What? So you want to find information that refers to things. Watch, then look at the verb watch. What? Robert watch. So what did he watch and why? Look at the first. The first line, he refers to Robert. He watched some videos of the opening ceremony. Why? Why did he watch them? Why? Look at the first line. Robert wants to know more about the Aboriginal people. So he watched. He watched these things. He watched some videos to know more about the Aboriginal peoples of Canada. So you can say, what did people watch? What did Robert watch? Robert watched some videos of the opening ceremony. Why? You can say to know more about the Aboriginal peoples of Canada. Question 2. If he had not watched it, look, if he had not watched it, it means what? It means the opening ceremony, the opening ceremony. If he had not watched it, what would have happened? You can say he would not have known about the Canadian First Nation. It means if he had not watched the opening ceremony, he would not have known about the Canadian First Nation. لن يعلم عنه. So we have two clauses. The first clause, if he had not watched, what is the main clause? The main clause, he would not have known about he would not. So the first one, first clause الشرط الأول, if he had not watched it. This is the first clause الشرط الأول. So what would have happened? What is the second clause? The main clause, he would not have known about the Canadian First Nation. يعني إذا لم يشاهد مراسم الافتتاح، جواب الشرط he would not have known about the Canadian First Nation. لن يعرف معلومات عن الأمم الأولى في كندا. 3. What did Robert find on the internet? What did he find on the internet? What did he find on the internet? So look at this paragraph 1. He also went on the internet and found. What did he find? He found some amazing pictures of dancers and musicians at powwows. So what did he find on? We have did and find. We changed find to found because we have did. He found some amazing pictures of dancers. Dancer, and musicians at powwows. We said powwows means social gathering by Native Americans to meet and dance. 4. Now we have, if he had not gone, look here, if he had not gone on the internet, this is if he clause 1. If he had not gone on the internet, what would have happened? What is the second clause or main clause? Look here, if he had not gone on the internet, what would have happened? He would not have found the pictures. Two clauses. If he had not gone on the internet, he would not have found the pictures. 5. Did Dr. Davis reply to Robert's letter? Did he reply? Did he answer? Did he send something to him? If yes or no. So look at the word reply here. The verb reply. Look here, reply. We have replied here, but we have reply here because we have did. So when we answer, we change the verb to past. Verb 2. Dr. Davis replied to Robert and sent him information about the museum's archaeological excavation in Northeast Canada. So did he answer? Did he reply? Yes, he did. How do you know? Because he sent him. He sent Rob. So Dr. Davis sent him to Robert information about the museum's archaeological excavation. Yes, he did. 6. If Dr. Davis had not replied, answered Robert, what would have happened? Now we have two clauses, شرطين. If either Dr. Davis had not replied to Robert, what would have happened? If Dr. Davis had not replied, I would not have got in touch with Carly and Annie. Call. Get in touch, call, or communicate with. So write the answers. Now let's go to Objective 2, if clause type 3. Means unreal, يعني unreal things. Now look at the sentence first here. Type 3. If he had gone to the mall, he would, or he could, or he might. He would, sorry, let's correct that. So, and we add here have. So, if he had gone to the mall, he would have bought a laptop. Or we can say he could have bought, or he might have bought. As you see here, we have two sentences. The first sentence that begins with if. We call it if clause. The second sentence, which comes after the comma. There is a comma between the two clauses, between the two sentences. There is a comma. If we start with if, we would comma before we start with the second sentence with the main clause. He would, or you can say he could, or you can say he might, then we add have bought a laptop. So we have يعني إذا لم يذهب إلى المول لن يشتري laptop. So we have. Now let's read first these examples. If he had talked to me, I would have listened to him. The first clause, if clause. If he had talked to me, I would have listened to him. They are past and real. If it had rained, look at the first verb, had rained, had talked, had saved. If it had rained last weekend, we would have stayed at home. Would plus have plus verb 3. If she had saved enough money, had plus verb 3, past perfect. We say it's past perfect, past perfect. The past perfect means had plus verb 3, had plus verb 3, had plus verb 3. Look, had talked, had rained, had saved. This is the first sentence, the if clause. The second sentence, as you see, I would have listened. Look, subject, I would have, then verb 3, listened. After have, we use verb 3, past participle. But you can change would, you can use would, or you can say could, or you can say might. But you have to use have, then verb 3 or past participle. If it had rained last weekend, comma, the second sentence, subject, we would have stayed at home. Could have stayed at home. If she had saved enough money, She would have bought a new bicycle. Look at these examples now. The first one, if it had rained, look here, if we close the first sentence, if it had rained, we have had plus verb 3, past perfect. The second sentence, after the comma, you subject would have gotten. So we have would, or could, or might, then have, then verb 3 or past perfect. And also we can start with the main clause, then the if clause. So you can put if in the beginning or in the middle. You can say you would have gotten wet if it had rained. So you can exchange. You would have passed your exam if you had worked harder. You can begin with if. If you had worked harder, you would have passed the exam. So you can just exchange them. Sentence 3. I would have believed you, so صدقك, if you hadn't lied to me before. Take them. You can begin with, look here, if you hadn't lied to me before, I would have believed you. Now let's go to exercise 4. Now, complete these sentences with the verbs in brackets. Look, we have 4 sentences. Sentence 1, we have 2 verbs, get and make. Sentence 2, you have 2 verbs. They are win, go. 3, arrive, oversleep. 4, phone, and lose. Look here now on the right. Look at the rule. If had plus verb 3, comma, you would have plus verb 3. If we use if in the middle, so we begin with would have verb 3, then had plus verb 3. Look at the sentences here. If Ali had studied verb 3 studied, he would have passed. Would have verb 3, would have verb 3, would have verb 3. If Ali, if we close, had studied, had plus verb 3. Then we use would plus have plus verb 3. Would plus have plus verb 3. Ali, so if you start with Ali would have passed if he had studied. Now look at the first sentence here. Number 1, if Robert not in touch with Dr. Davis, he not friends with Annie and Carly. If Robert, we use the verb get now. We use what? Had plus verb 3. So if Robert, we start with had. If Robert had, get becomes what? Got. G-O-T. G. If Robert had not got in touch with Dr. David, he would have, and change the verb make to verb 3. He would not have, make becomes made. M-A-D-E, friends with Annie and Carly. If we go to sentence 2, if Hampton, we have if Hampton. We said if we start with if, the verb should be past perfect, had plus verb 3. If Hampton had not win يفوز becomes won, W-O-N. The portrait project, they would have verb 3. They would not have. Don't say they would have not. They would not have. Go becomes gone. Go verb 1. Went verb 2. Gone verb 3. As you see number 3 here, we have if in the middle. So we start with the main clause, then the if clause. Joe, arrive. So we have start with would. If in the middle you start with would have verb 3. Joe would have verb 3. Would have. Arrive becomes arrived on time if he had verb 3. If he had not oversleep becomes overslept. Overslept. It becomes overslept. if. Also if in the middle we have to start with the main clause. I would have verb 3. I would have. Phone becomes phoned. You add d. Phoned. I would have phoned you if I had. Verb 3. If I had not. Not becomes which. So we add not to have. Had not. Lose becomes lost. L-O-S-T. L-O-S-T. Now let's go to exercise 3. Find the right endings. You have here 4 sentences. You have to match sentence from 1 to 4 to A to D. Let's do the first one. Robert would not have known about the First Nations. So which sentence goes with it? Look here, would not have known. This is the second. So you want to write what? Which sentence goes with it? So find with number 1, which one goes with it? So we can say Robert would not have known about the First Nation if he had not watched videos of the opening ceremony. So we have 2 sentences, one with D, one with D. 2. He would not have found the pictures of powwows. So he would not have found the picture of powwows if he had not gone on the internet. So number 2 goes with B. 3. If Dr. Davis had not sent the students email addresses, Robert would not have got in touch with them. 4. If Robert had not got in touch with Annie and if he had got in touch with them, he would not have made friends with them. طبعا هذه الأجوبة كاملة للصفحة رقم صفحة 102. فأرجو منكم أن لا تذهبوا إلى هذه الصفحة وأن تحلوا ما سبق بدون رؤية هذه الصفحة. Then answer the questions from 2 to 4. Students book page 102. ولا تنسوا الذهاب وحل الاختبارات الإلكترونية بعد الانتهاء من هذا الدرس. أشكركم وإلى اللقاء في حصة قادمة.